Hello, everyone. I'm Kristin O'Donnell, and thank you for joining me for Gentle Yoga this Friday afternoon. Hands to Heart Center, Yoga for the People, is a nonprofit organization that shares healing practice of yoga with people affected by addiction, poverty, and trauma in Greater Boston. Hands to Heart Center would like to thank the Boston Public Library for partnering with us on this virtual project. So feel free to grab a blanket if you have one. If you have 2 blocks, you can grab those. Or if you have 2 books that are the same size, you can feel free to grab those as well for any props for this class. You can start seated or lying down, making sure my mat is in the frame. Finding that seated or lying down shape whenever you're ready. Choosing any props you might need, maybe sitting on a blanket or a cushion, or maybe choosing to lie down and bringing a blanket underneath your head, or even a cushion underneath your knees. Settling into this space, into this room, wherever you are, and noticing how your body is resting. If you'd like, you might start to close your eyes, maybe keep a soft gaze in front of you. Possibly noticing what your breath might be doing to start. What are your inhales and exhales like? Maybe taking a few breaths here and noticing. Is your breath fast or slow? Is it long or short? And maybe after a few breaths here, if you'd like, you might start to notice how your body is resting. Are there any aches, pains, or sensations in your body? Maybe there aren't. Allowing yourself to notice where your body is in this moment, how your body feels as it's resting here. And maybe sitting here for several breaths, noticing each inhale and exhale, and noticing your body. How do you feel in this moment? What is your body or breath telling you? Are there any emotions or feelings that are coming up? Allowing yourself, if you'd like, to listen. And you might start to notice with each breath that maybe your body starts to relax a little bit more. Taking your time and seated or lying down, and maybe allowing yourself to be still. Continuing to take several breaths here. Allowing yourself to notice. Without judgment, being aware of what's going on with you right now. Allowing what is to be in this moment. Maybe continuing with a few more, continuing to notice your body and your mind, your breath, noticing what thoughts might be coming up, and allowing yourself, if you can, to watch your thoughts pass by without judgment, without attaching to them. Allowing each thought just to be acknowledged and then move along on its way. You might imagine that you're standing on a sidewalk watching traffic and cars drive by and slow traffic. And maybe each car is one of your thoughts. So instead of stopping the car, hailing it down, you continue to stand on the sidewalk and watch. Noticing what comes by, saying hello to it maybe, and then letting it pass on away from you. So maybe imagining that if you can. You might also choose anytime you notice your mind starting to take over, maybe saying to yourself, I am breathing in with each inhale and I am breathing out with each exhale. Sometimes distracting our mind can bring it back to where we would like it to be. Continuing in your own time to notice your breath here. And if you're lying down, maybe slowly starting to make your way to seated. Wherever you are, you might start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, maybe bringing some movement back into your body. And if you're in seated, noticing what your seated shape feels like now, maybe even imagining a string pulling your head and spine up towards the ceiling. Maybe start to notice an elongation with your spine. As you imagine your head and spine being pulled up toward the ceiling and allowing your seat to ground into the mat or the blanket if you're sitting on a blanket. And eventually making your way to seated if you started in lying down. We'll start to add some movements here. Maybe starting to move your head, bringing your chin down to your chest, and moving your head from left to right a few times. Possibly bringing your head in half head circles. And maybe continuing with this movement if you'd like, or you might choose to start to bring your head all the way around in circles. Finding whatever movement feels right for your head and neck here. And knowing that this practice is your practice and yours alone. So if you'd like to move in any other way than what I'm doing, please feel free to do so. Finding whatever movements or whatever shapes feel right in your body. If you chose full head circles, maybe starting to reverse that direction and move your head in the opposite way. Moving your head in any way you like in your own time. Maybe noticing how your neck feels as you're moving your head. And whenever you're ready, coming back to center, bringing your head back to center. Maybe starting to add some movement in your shoulders. Moving your shoulders up and down a few times. Maybe starting to move your shoulders in circles. If you chose circles, you might choose to do a few in both directions. Maybe noticing how this movement feels in your shoulders. Letting that go whenever you're ready. And maybe starting to move your upper body. Maybe moving from side to side. You might choose to move your upper body forward and back. You might choose to move your upper body in circles. Finding whatever movement feels right for you. And maybe this movement is small or maybe it's big. If you chose circles, maybe doing a few in both directions. Noticing how any movement you choose feels in your upper body. Is there any spot that might need a little bit more attention? And if there is, you might choose to pause there, maybe breathing into that space before continuing on with your movement. Really finding whatever works for you here, whatever feels right in your body. And then in your own time, whenever you're ready, starting to make your way back to center. Maybe inhaling, arms come up overhead. Exhaling, twisting over to the right side. Right hand reaches back behind you. Left hand reaches on your right knee. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And maybe on each exhale, you might twist a little bit more. With each inhale, lengthen. And exhale, maybe twist a little bit more. Pausing here for several breaths. And in your own time, on your next inhale, arms come up overhead. Exhale, twisting over to the left side. Left hand reaches behind you, right hand reaches on your left knee. Inhaling, lengthen your spine on your inhales. Exhale, maybe just a little bit more in this shape. Breathe in here for several breaths. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, maybe twist a little bit more. Inhale, arms come up overhead, reaching the arms back down by your sides. Exhale. Maybe reaching your right hand over to your right side, and in your own time, starting to bring your left arm overhead. Pausing here for a few breaths. Relaxing your shoulder. Relaxing your head if you're holding any tension there. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, moving over to the left side. Left hand comes down, right hand reaches overhead. Relaxing your shoulder here, relaxing any tension in your head, and pausing and breathing into this side of the shape. Inhale, coming back to center. And if you'd like, maybe starting to walk the hands forward. Either keeping your back straight here, maybe pausing here with a straight, elongated back, or you might choose to curve your head down towards the floor and curve your lower back towards the back of your mat. Finding whatever feels right for you. You might notice you can make your way closer to the floor if you curve your back. Or maybe it's a different type of stretch with your back straight. So maybe playing around with one or both of these choices in your own time. In your own time, slowly starting to come back to seated. Walking yourself back to seated whenever you're ready, and then maybe straightening your legs out in front of your body. Flexing your feet, hands might rest on your legs or maybe by your sides. Inhale, lengthen here. Once again, imagine the head being pulled up by a string, head and spine elongate here. Breathing for several breaths, noticing this shape. Might seem simple, but keeping the legs activated might keep some movement here. Letting that go whenever you're ready. Inhaling, arms come up overhead. Exhale, start to walk the hands down the legs, letting the hands rest anywhere that feels right in your body. Maybe it's your thighs or your shins. Maybe you can reach your toes. Find whatever variation feels right for you. And curving your lower back, bringing your head down, pausing and breathing into this forward fold. In your own time, coming back to center, starting to walk your hands back to seated. And we'll start to make our way to our hands and knees. If your knees are sensitive and might need some cushioning underneath them, feel free to grab a blanket if you don't already have one nearby. Bringing the blanket across your mat. And then in your own time, bring your hands and knees to your mat. Wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. And starting with a few cat-cows here. Inhaling, head and chest come up into cow. Exhaling, lowering your head down and curving your lower back up into cat. Moving here at your own pace. Maybe inhale, head and chest come up into cow. Exhale, lowering your head down and curving your lower back up into cat. You might choose to move here at your own pace. Maybe with your breath, or maybe moving separate of your breath. Maybe even pausing in one shape or the other. You might choose to breathe into this shape for a few breaths before moving on. Really noticing, if you can, how your spine moves from one shape to the other. Continuing here for 3 more breaths. So 3 more rounds of your cat-cow movements maybe. And then in your own time, making your way back to your neutral spine. Pausing here and maybe choosing to add some movement in your hips. Maybe moving your hips from side to side, back and forth a few times. You might choose to move your hips in circles here. Making this movement as big or as small as you might like it to be. And if you chose circles, maybe doing a few in one direction, and then in your own time, reversing the direction, going the opposite way. Taking your time here and noticing this movement in your body. Whenever you're ready, slowly starting to make your way back to center in your own time. And if you start to notice your wrists starting to bother you after being in the shape for too long, you might choose to flip the palms so that they're facing up towards the ceiling. That might be one choice. Another choice might be to sit back, interlacing your hands and moving your wrists in figure 8 movements. You might also choose, with both hands by themselves, to move your wrists in circles. Finding whatever movement works well for you here, if you'd like to give your wrists a little bit of exercise here. Bringing your hands back to your table, hands and knees on the mat. And this time extending the right leg out behind you. Toes of your right foot pressing into the mat. And maybe just rocking forward and back a few times here. Maybe noticing a little massage on the ball of your right foot with this shape. Making your way back to center, pausing whenever you're ready, bringing your right leg hip height. And maybe pausing here with that right leg elevated. Taking a few breaths in this shape. Head looks down towards your mat, relaxing your shoulders. And then lowering your left leg back to the mat in your own time. Maybe extending your left leg whenever you're ready, pressing the toes of your left foot into the mat. And possibly rocking forward and back a few times here. Maybe noticing that you're giving yourself maybe a little massage on the bottom of your left foot. In your own time, making your way back to center, pausing the movement, and bringing your left leg hip height. Maybe just breathing in this shape. You might choose to look down towards the floor. Relaxing your shoulders. In your own time, lowering that leg back down to the floor. If you need to, maybe moving your wrists a little bit, using any of those choices, flipping the palms so that they're facing the ceiling, maybe interlacing hands and bringing them in a figure 8 movement, or maybe moving the wrists in circles. Finding whatever works for you. And in your own time, bringing your hands back to the mat whenever you're ready. This time extending the right leg behind you, bringing it hip height, and maybe experimenting with extending that left arm out in front. Taking an inhale and exhale here, and then lowering the hand and leg back down to the mat. Whenever you're ready, moving into the other side, extending the left leg behind you, bringing it hip height, and maybe extending the right arm out in front. Inhale and exhale here, and then lower down back to the floor. Once more, extending the right leg behind you, bringing the leg hip height, and this time inhaling, lengthening that leg so that it reaches out behind you. And then on the exhale, we inhale, lengthen, exhale, bend the knee, bring the knee in towards the head. So maybe the head comes down if you'd like. Inhale, lengthen the leg out behind, maybe your head looks in front of you. Exhale, knee into chest, head might come down. Moving here at your own pace. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, bringing the knee into your chest. Maybe doing a few more here. Moving at your own pace. And noticing how this shape feels in your body. And then in your own time, making your way back to center, bringing your right knee back down to the mat. Moving into the left side whenever you're ready. Extending the left leg behind you, bringing it hip height. Inhale, lengthen the leg out away from you. Exhale, bend the knee into your chest, head moves down towards the floor. Inhale, lengthen, straighten the leg, head might look in front of you. Exhale, bend the knee, lower the head down, knee comes in towards your chest. Moving here at your own pace. Taking your time in the shape and maybe noticing how this side of the shape feels in your body. Doing a few more here. And then whenever you're ready, lowering your left knee back down to the mat. If you'd like, moving into your child shape, keeping your knees together or maybe widening your knees and starting to sit your hips back towards your feet. Hands might reach out in front of your body, head might make its way to the floor, or if you have a block or a book, you might bring your head to rest on that. Finding whatever feels right for you and pausing here for several breaths. Noticing how this shape feels in your body. In your own time, maybe starting to walk your hands over to the right side of the mat, maybe moving the left hand a little further than the right and possibly noticing a stretch in your left side body. Pausing here for several breaths. In your own time, walking your hands back to center and then making your way over to the left side of your mat. Reaching the right hand a little further than the left this time and maybe noticing a stretch in your right side body. Breathing here. In your own time, making your way back to center. Taking an inhale and exhale here. And then slowly making your way back to your hands and knees. Moving into your downward dog from here. Option to keep your hands where they are in your table shape, or you might bring them a little far forward from where they were. Flipping your toes, pressing your toes into the mat, straightening your knees, and bringing your hips up towards the ceiling. Making your way into your downward dog. Maybe choosing to add some movement here. You might raise and lower your feet up to your tiptoes. Maybe you choose to bend and straighten your knees a few times. You might choose to walk in place, bending one knee and then the other. Another choice might be to bring both legs back to center and move your hips from side to side. Finding whatever choice or choices you might like here, and maybe even choosing to be still. Breathing into this space for as long as you might like. In your own time, coming back to center, bending your knees, and starting to walk your feet towards your hands, making your way into a forward fold. Option to pause here, maybe bringing opposite hand to opposite elbow. You might choose to rock from side to side in this shape, or maybe choose to shake your head yes and no a few times. Finding whatever stillness or movement might feel right in your body here. In your own time, letting that go and slowly bringing yourself up to standing, maybe bringing your head up last. Taking your time, getting to a standing shape. And if you have a blanket or anything on your mat, feel free to move that over to the side. Bring it off your mat. And once you find a standing shape, bringing your feet hip-width apart maybe. You might start by rocking from the balls of your feet to your heels a few times, moving back and forth. In your own time, noticing how this feels in your body. Do you feel stable with this movement, or does it feel a little wobbly? And just noticing. Just paying attention here, without judgment, without trying to change what's happening in this moment. Slowly making your way back to center, making your movements with your feet smaller and smaller. Eventually making your way to fully stand on the mat in stillness. Maybe noticing how grounded your feet feel in the floor here. Do they feel a little more grounded than when you first stood up? Or maybe they don't. Maybe they don't feel grounded at all. Just noticing what's coming up for you. And then maybe once again, imagining that string pulling your head and spine up towards the ceiling. So almost as if you're being pulled down into the ground and up towards the ceiling all at the same time. Noticing if you can feel any changes in your spine. Making sure your chin doesn't move up and that you keep it tucked in slightly so that the back of your neck is straight. Taking a few breaths here and noticing what this feels like in your body. In your own time, letting this go. And keeping the right leg in front, bringing the left foot back behind you. Toes of your left foot reach towards the front of your mat. And then with a slight bend in your right knee, making sure your knee is in line with your ankle. You don't want the knee to go past the ankle. Hips are facing towards the front of your mat. Arms make their way up into Warrior One. Choosing to stay here. Or if you'd like, you might choose to add some movement in this shape. Maybe inhale, straighten the right knee, lower the arms down towards the floor. Exhale, raise the arms up, bend the right knee, coming back into your warrior one. Moving here at your own pace. Inhale, straighten the right leg, lower the arms down. Exhale, arms come up, bending the right knee. Moving here at your own pace, making this as fast or slow as you might like. And choosing stillness if you'd like as well. You can always choose between being still and between adding movement in a shape. In your own time, whenever you're ready, making your way back to your warrior one, hands up overhead, right knee slightly bent, relaxing your shoulders. Maybe taking 3 breaths here. And then in your own time, maybe straightening your right leg. Inhale, lengthening your arms up and your spine up towards the ceiling. Exhale, start to hinge forward. Pausing maybe in a flat back, and then maybe continuing down to lightly hold your right leg with your hands, or if you have blocks or books, you might bring your hands to rest on top of them. If you can, maybe holding the floor with your hands. Finding whatever feels right for you. If your hands are on your leg, really engaging your core here and making sure your upper body is holding itself up and you're not putting too much pressure on your hands and leg. Breathing in this shape for a few breaths. Maybe letting your head hang, maybe choosing to move your head from left to right, maybe choosing to shake your head up and down. In your own time, slowly starting to make your way back to standing. And moving into our warrior two. Bringing the left leg so that it's parallel to the back of your mat. Bringing that bent knee in your right knee once more. Right arm reaches forward, left arm reaches behind you. Gaze is on your right hand. Taking several breaths here in your warrior two. If you'd like, you might start to add movement here. Maybe inhaling, bringing your left hand to your left leg. Right arm comes up overhead into reverse warrior. Exhale, maybe bringing your right forearm to rest on your right thigh. Left arm coming up overhead into side angle. I'll just move to the side so you can see what this looks like a little bit better. Coming into reverse angle. The left hand's on your left leg. Right hand overhead. And side angle, right forearm is on your right thigh. Left arm up overhead. Choosing to move back and forth, if you'd like, at your own pace. And maybe doing one more movement in both directions before making your way back to your warrior two. From warrior two, lowering your hands down, straightening your right leg, and slowly walking both feet towards each other. Eventually making your way to face the front of your mat. Moving into a few different shapes here. Either bringing your feet hip width apart, or maybe bringing both feet so that they're touching. Moving into your chair shape. In your own time, maybe raising your arms up overhead and then bending your knees, sitting your hips back as if you're about to sit in an imaginary chair behind you. Pausing here for several breaths. And noticing this shape in your body. Making this bend only as big as feels right for you. And then letting that go Bring your legs back to standing, lowering your arms down. And moving into a balancing shape. Starting to bring your feet so that they're hip width apart again. Right leg is bringing all your weight to it. So start to lean all your weight on your right leg. Hands might be at your hips or in front of your chest, palms touching. And making your way into your tree shape. Bringing your left foot so that the heel is resting on your right ankle. Maybe pausing here with your toes on the floor. Or maybe choosing to bring that left foot either above or below your knee. Keeping it off the knee joint, but bringing that leg to rest on the right leg, above or below the knee. Pausing here, maybe finding a spot in front of you to focus your gaze on. Maybe growing your branches up towards the ceiling if you'd like. If you'd like to add some movement here, you might choose to move your arms as if it's a windy day. Seeing if that disrupts your balance, and if it does, knowing that falling over is part of our practice. And we can always get right back up and try again. In your own time, whenever you're ready, letting that go, bringing your leg down, arms come down, and maybe shaking that all out. Moving into one more balancing shape, bringing all your weight to your right leg. This time giving yourself a great big hug. Right arm is over the left. And then while your weight's on your right leg, crossing your left leg over the right. Maybe toes touch the floor. Maybe the toes come up to balance in your gentle eagle shape. Maybe finding a spot in front of you to focus your gaze on and noticing your balance here. In your own time, letting that go, unwinding yourself, shaking all of that out. And whenever you're ready, moving into the other side, bringing both feet hip width apart in front of you, maybe noticing how both feet are standing here. Has this changed from the beginning of us standing, or is this the same or worse? And then whenever you're ready, getting ready for your warrior one. Bringing your right foot back, left knee is in front, left knee slightly bent, right toes are pointing towards the front of your mat. Hips are facing the front of your mat too, and then in your own time, arms come up overhead. Relaxing your shoulders here and taking a few breaths here. Maybe adding some movement here. Inhale, maybe lowering your arms, straightening your left knee. Exhale, maybe bending your knee once more and bring your arms up back to warrior one. Inhale, lower the arms down, straighten the left knee. Exhale, arms come up, bending the left knee. Moving here at your own pace. Maybe noticing how the movement feels in this shape. Maybe choosing to be still in this shape as well. Finding whatever works in your body. And then coming back to your warrior one, starting to straighten that left knee, elongating your spine, arms reach up towards the ceiling, and starting to hinge forward, making your way through your flat back, and maybe gently bringing your hands to your left leg. Maybe hands come to the floor or to blocks or books if you have them. Keeping your core engaged so that there's minimal weight coming into your hands. Letting your head hang here and maybe shaking your head yes and no. Up and down, side to side. Breathing into this shape. In your own time, starting to make your way back up to standing, and then making your way into your warrior two. Right knee makes its way so it's parallel to the back of your mat. Your right foot's parallel to the back of your mat. Left knee is slightly bent once more. Knee is in line with your ankle. Left arm comes forward. Right arm makes its way behind you. Gaze is on your left hand. Pausing here for several breaths. And whenever you're ready, maybe adding that movement once more. Right hand makes its way to the back leg. Left hand reaches up overhead into reverse warrior. Inhale, maybe. Exhale, possibly move forward. Left forearm rests on your left thigh. Right arm reaches up overhead. Maybe moving back and forth here. Possibly inhaling into your reverse warrior. Maybe exhaling and moving into your side angle. Noticing how your body moves on this side of the shape. And choosing between being still or adding movement here. Maybe moving in both directions one more time before making your way back to your warrior two. Moving into warrior two, lowering your hands down, straightening your left knee, and slowly bringing your feet towards each other. Making your way to the front of your mat so that you're facing the front of your mat. Feet are hip width apart. Taking a moment here, noticing how you're standing now. Is it the same or has it changed? And then moving into your chair shape. You might keep your legs hip width apart, or you might bring both feet so that they're touching. Arms up overhead, bending your knees and sitting your hips back as if you're about to sit in that imaginary chair. Maybe this time just slightly bouncing up and down a few times here. Relaxing your shoulders. And then pausing for a moment or two. And then straightening your legs, bringing the arms down. Letting all that go. Moving into your balancing shapes. Bringing all your weight to your left leg this time. Hands might be at your hips or they might be palms touching in front of your chest. Maybe pausing here. And bringing all your weight to your left leg. Bringing the right ankle to rest on the right heel to rest on the right ankle. And then if you'd like to start to balance, maybe bringing your foot to the ankle or maybe above the knee, anywhere above or below the knee joint. Finding whatever works for you in this shape and finding a spot in front of you to focus your gaze on that can help with your balance. Taking several breaths here. And maybe growing your branches up towards the ceiling. You might start to move your arms from side to side if you'd like to test your balance here, pretending it's a windy day. And knowing that if you fall over, you can always get right back in it. You can always try again. Letting go of this shape whenever you're ready. Bringing your leg and arms down, shaking all of that out. And moving into your baby eagle, bringing all your weight to your left leg again. This time giving yourself a big hug, left arm on top of the right. And maybe crossing the right leg over the left, bringing the toes of the right foot on the floor, or maybe raising them up off the floor to balance. Possibly finding your spot to focus your gaze on and pausing here, making sure you're breathing. In your own time, letting all of that go. Arms come down, legs come down back to the floor, shaking it all out. Bringing both feet hip width apart. And maybe once more, noticing how your feet are resting right now. And then in your own time, starting to make your way down to the floor, maybe coming into a forward fold, starting to roll your head down and bring your hands down towards the floor. Maybe bringing your hands behind your ankles. You might take your index and middle fingers and maybe wrap them around your big toes. Maybe just letting your hands hang here and rocking from side to side. Finding whatever variation you might like here. And then slowly making your way down to the floor. Maybe bringing your hands to the mat and bringing one leg and then the other until you make your way to seated. Bringing the bottoms of your feet together in your bound angle. And maybe experimenting with how close to your upper body your feet are or how far away they might be. You might notice different sensations depending on where your feet are resting. Taking a few breaths here, again, imagining that string pulling your head and spine up towards the ceiling. Really elongating the spine here. Allowing yourself to lengthen upward. Maybe closing your eyes and taking a few breaths here. Or you might choose to keep a soft gaze in front of you. Maybe noticing your breath in this seated shape. In your own time, starting to let that go, maybe bringing both knees towards each other and bringing your legs out in front of you, allowing your legs just to shake up and down a few times. Letting all of that go. And whenever you're ready, starting to make your way to lie on your back. So finding a lying down shape whenever you're ready. Maybe once you make your way to the floor, starting to notice how your body is resting here. How does this feel in your body? And maybe taking a large inhale through your nose. Maybe exhale, sigh it out your mouth. Continuing to breathe naturally. And then in your own time, maybe bringing your feet to the mat, knees facing towards the ceiling. And bringing your right ankle to rest on your left thigh. Maybe choosing to pause here or maybe bringing your hands behind your left leg into your figure four shape. Finding a few breaths here. Maybe rocking from side to side in this shape. In your own time, bringing both feet back down to the mat. And moving into the other side. Bringing your left ankle to rest on your right thigh, maybe pausing here. Or if it's available to you, maybe bringing your hands behind your right leg. Maybe rocking from side to side with whatever choice you decided for this shape. Whichever variation. Making sure you're breathing here. And then in your own time, lowering your legs back down to the floor. And maybe hugging your knees into your chest. You might choose to rock from side to side here. Maybe moving your legs in circles in this shape. And if you chose circles, maybe moving your legs in one direction. And then in your own time, maybe moving your legs in the opposite direction. Coming back to center whenever you're ready, and maybe moving both legs over to the right side of your body. Right leg is on the floor, left leg is on top. Maybe choosing to rest completely on the right side of your body, or if you'd like, you might move into a gentle twist. Arms make their way out on either side of your body in a T shape, and then maybe your gaze moves over your left shoulder. Maybe noticing a gentle twist here, taking several breaths in this shape. In your own time, maybe moving your legs back into your chest, and then whenever you're ready, moving into the other side, bringing both legs over to the left side of your body. Left leg is on the floor, right leg's on top. Maybe moving your entire body to rest on your left side, or maybe bringing your arms out in a T shape on either side of your body, and maybe bringing your gaze over your right shoulder for a gentle twist. Breathing in this shape and resting here. And in your own time, starting to make your way back to center, maybe bringing your knees into your chest once more. You might start to rock from side to side here if you'd like. And then moving into your rest whenever you're ready. You might choose to bring your feet to rest on the mat. You might choose to straighten your legs down the length of the mat. Maybe your arms rest on your body, or maybe your arms rest by your sides. Finding whatever shape feels right for you here. If you have props, you might bring a blanket underneath your head. You might bring a blanket or cushion underneath your knees. Or maybe bring a blanket or cushion underneath your feet. You might choose to elevate your feet or cushion your knees. Finding whatever shape feels right for you, and allowing yourself to settle into your lying down shape. If you'd like, maybe starting to relax into this shape, letting go of any tension you might be feeling in your body. And once you feel you might be able to rest here for a little while, maybe starting to notice how your feet are resting. You might choose to wiggle your toes. Maybe noticing how each foot is resting in this moment. Do your feet feel like they're resting in the same way, or maybe they feel a little different from one another? And then in your own time, maybe starting to bring your attention to your legs. And maybe noticing how your legs are resting on the floor. Are there parts of your legs that might not be touching the floor at all? Does each leg feel like it's resting in the same way? Noticing, if you'd like, how your legs are resting. And then moving into your hips, and maybe noticing how each hip is resting in this moment. Are both hips pressing into the mat in the same way? Maybe noticing how your lower back is resting. And if you like, you might bring a hand underneath your lower back. Maybe noticing if there's a curve there. Some of us have a curve in our lower back, and you might start to notice if there's a curve there, and if so, how big or how small it might be. Whenever you're ready, letting that go, Releasing your hand back to wherever it was resting. And starting to notice your middle back where your ribs are, and maybe noticing how your middle back is resting in this moment. Does each side of your back feel like it's resting in the same way? And then moving into your shoulders and your upper back, and maybe noticing how each shoulder is resting in this moment. Maybe parts of your shoulders are not resting on the floor and other parts might be. And in your own time, maybe noticing how your arms are resting. Maybe noticing if they're resting on the floor or if they're resting on another part of your body. You might observe how that feels for you. Maybe they're resting in the same way or slightly different from one another. And then making your way into your hands and your fingers, maybe wiggling your fingers a little bit. Noticing how each hand is resting in this moment. Starting to bring your attention into your head and your neck, and maybe gently moving your head from side to side if you'd like. You might start to notice that maybe your head seems to prefer one side over the other. Finding whatever feels right for you here, and in your own time, bringing your head back to center. Maybe taking a few breaths to notice how your whole body is resting. Noticing, if you'd like, how your whole body is resting in this moment. What parts of your body are resting on the floor and what parts might not be. Noticing how your whole body might be resting here. And I'll be quiet for the next 2.5 minutes. So feel free to use that time to move your body if you'd like, or feel free to use that time to be still. Maybe closing your eyes here or keeping a soft gaze in front of you. In your own time, whenever you're ready, maybe slowly starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes, maybe bringing some small movements back into your body. Another choice might be to move your wrists and ankles in circles. Or you might choose to bring your arms up overhead for a full body stretch. And then in your own time, maybe starting to make your way back to seated. Finding a seated shape whenever you're ready. Making your way there in your own time. And if you'd like, maybe bringing your palms together in front of your chest. May the light within me honor the light within you. Namaste. Thank you all for joining me today, this Friday afternoon, for gentle yoga. I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday. Bye-bye. My hair